Okay, let's watch this Xaxxas video.
What have the Titans actually been doing since the dawn of civilization? What is the real purpose to all of their cute little installations slammed into the side of the planet? Do we know everything we need to know about their plans for our world? Welcome back to another episode of Knowledge Wars. I'm your host, Xaxxas, and today we have a scoop like none other, covering the following topics, and by the end, you may never see the World of Warcraft the same way ever again. Today's report: truth behind the Shadowlands, the Wizard of Norgan Oz, and the Titan's Xerath Matrix, Plato's allegory of the cave, and how Blizzard's most ambitious expansion humbugged the masses. In the promotional campaign for Shadowlands, Blizzard told us plain as day, the machine of death is broken, and Sylvanas Windrunner exclaimed that this world is a prison. But what if I told you that this was no figurative wording, and that the Shadowlands is indeed an afterlife soul matrix?
I would not be even remotely surprised, because a lot of this are discussions that have been discussed in my Discord, so I'm really excited to hear some of this. Because I'm probably going to agree with like 90% of this video. Just letting you guys know, probably going to agree with like 90% of this.
Coded on the foundational programming language of Titan++. Stay tuned, heroes. This one's a doozy. Today I have brought with me the ancient head of a heretical fallen Titan Watcher, who will share his memories of forbidden knowledge for all.
Reinitializing. Sequence complete.
It's fucking Zoval. It's fucking Zoval.
Who dares the truth of the Makers?
That would be me and our audience. I command you to reveal the Titan's secrets. And start at the good parts. We ain't got all day.
Accessing historical records. The machine of origination. In the beginning of this world's ordering, the Titan Pantheon discovered the true nature of the soul within, the heart of eternity itself. In their search for slumbering Titan spirits, none before had yielded the raw power that this world's soul held. After the conquest of the previous mortal epoch, the Pantheon installed the World Forges. Great machines, harnessing and regulating the flow and rhythm of the world in all aspects. Mind, body, and soul.
You mean like in Uldum and Ulduar?
Affirmative. World Forges designated Forge of Origination assigned to Uldum, and Forge of Wills assigned to Ulduar.
Right. We've seen and heard of these detailed in Chronicle. How many of these forges do they got?
And in the game.
My records are damaged.
Don't give people ammo to say that the lore's not in the game. If they play the fucking game, they can learn about both of these forges too. You don't need a fucking book. But people have to actually read. You have to actually, I know, say it again with me now. Read. I know, it's crazy. But yeah, it isn't just in a book. I just want to reiterate that for those who would fucking make the claim, oh, if we didn't have to have Chronicles so I could have this knowledge.
Regarding Cosmic Xerath Network, attempting to access remaining portions.
Whoa, Xerath Network? You mean like Xerath Mortis?
Access interrupted. Requesting patience. Continuing previous records. The Pantheon stride into the heart of eternity, weaving masterful spells of arcane origin. In this roiling singularity of raw creation and destruction, the Titans beheld wonders of immaculate design. Wonders that would shape the Titans' vision of destiny forever after. First came the binding of the heart. The world's soul would be utilized in the establishment of a new cosmic order. The latent potential of the slumbering world soul you designate Azeroth became the fulcrum of a grand design. Thus, the Heart of Eternity was crafted as the epicenter of the greater Xerath network, cosmic forges structuring the universe's many energies.
I thought these Xeraths were made by the so-called First Ones. What do these have to do with the Titans?
Initializing access retrieval, Xerath Ordis, the probability matrix, and intelligences designated First Ones. During the Titans' experiments within the Heart of Eternity, they crafted and communed with incredible arcane intelligences, complex incorporeal beings of logic and intricate geometric design. These crafted arcane intelligences, designated First Ones, were molded and refined by the Titan's Master of Magics, Norganon, in order to manifest the designs of these greater intelligences they had so proudly created. So began construction of the first cosmic forge, Xerath Ordis, a reflection of the wonders that the Titans would soon behold. When complete, the Titans were bestowed the authority as Grand Architects of the Cosmic Xerath Network, a vision of perfect order that would hold dominion over all eternity. Xerath Ordis would serve the function of constantly processing and analyzing all possible outcomes of past, future, and present events, designated the Probability Matrix, a means to shape the fate and destiny of all worlds.
It's like artificial light and void.
So the Titans decided on their one true timeline by communing with these arcane intelligences? AI? Hey, I should patent that. But what's going on with Odin's quote from Alderman about Xerath Ordis and the First Ones? How did he know about Xerath Ordis, but he had to give a whole eye just to learn a little bit about the Shadowlands?
You know not what you ask, mortal, but I shall proceed if you are certain.
Enough preamble, bucko! I'm ready to get red-pilled. Take me down the rabbit hole.
Accessing records, Xerath Mortis and Vitae, the Afterlife Matrix and Ordering of the Twisting Nether. After magnificent achievements on behalf of the Titans in the other cosmic domains, they then moved to order the domain of death. Using the power and material of the world soul's heart, they installed Xerath constructs, Mortis and Vitae, within the astral dimension, designated the Twisting Nether.
Okay. One thing that I would maybe, I don't know, he'll get into this, but I guess in my mind, I consider the possibility that death was first. And that from that, they went outward. And that's why Argus is so important for it, why he's so fucking old. I think death might have been one of the first ones that they ever did. And that could honestly be because of its similarities potentially to Order itself. But regardless, yeah, anyway.
These forges would play...
Because then that plays into Sargeras for a very long time being under their control, having domination, the imprisonment of Zoval being eons and eons, or however long that was, but anyway.
Role of shaping the spiritual energy and elements of the Nether, weaving two subsidiary secluded realms, designated Shadowlands and the Dream.
I like this.
Bound in tandem.
Basically building a realm using these cosmic forges through siphoning energies from the Nether, because the Nether pretty much has any energy that you could need in it.
To regulate the cycles and nature of death and rebirth on all worlds. Xerath Mortis, an extremity of the greater...
But it could be that they only decided to order life via death after... So I could see chronologically how it could go the other way.
Forges designated Forge of Afterlives fashions varied afterlife simulations within the Shadowlands. where the souls of mortals are ordered into new purposes and duties. Bound into service of our arrogant, foolish makers.
Say what now?
Can your mortal minds possibly fathom?
Quoting Algalon and shit.
Okay, cool it. pal.
Zoval.
You're starting to sound a lot like
The
jailer
opening
over
fucking
there.
Zoval
So
shit.
you're telling me that first, the Titan Pantheon created Zereth Ordis, where they shaped the timeways and singled out their favorite timeline under the guidance of their new arcane intelligences. Second, they then moved to attempt to order the other cosmic domains, eventually shaping the Shadowlands and the Emerald Dream using the very soul and dreams of Azeroth herself? Why would the Titans go out of their way to do this, and why all the cover-up? People in the Shadowlands don't say that the Titans built it, so what gives?
The Titans became consumed by the wonders of their new creations, and some began to see that all of reality in its natural state was paradoxical, inherently flawed and doomed without their orderly intervention. However, it would be through mortal hands that the true timeline would prevail. And to reduce the likelihood of uprising and rebellion, it was foretold by these intelligences that the Titans should hide their hand and involvement in the realms of death.
Could be temporal loop stuff. Arcane intelligence equals future Norg giving this knowledge to past Norg and it cycles. It could be, or it could be that in some capacity Norganon is the intelligence. But we'll see where this goes.
And so, as a means to retain their untarnished reputation to any mortals seeking truth, the Titans forfeited their claim as masters and rulers of death, positioning the enigmatic First Ones as a shadow of distraction.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, I kind of think that this is true. And it's the feeling that I had all throughout going into the Shadowlands in the first place. And it's the feeling that I had going through Zereth Mortis with all the prophecies that we were fulfilling when I realized that we weren't actually the OG Maw-Walker that Sylvanas was. We couldn't possibly be fulfilling the prophecy because we already missed step one. We're not the first true Maw-Walker. The next thing was that Steve Denuser had an interview where he said, what did he say? Something to the effect of how sometimes when we believe something enough, it's easy to kind of put ourselves in that prophecy and make us believe that that's what, that's what it is, right? But what really is prophecy is something Steve said, right? That makes me think of Inarius and Lilith from Diablo, right? Where Inarius thought that he was the prophecy, but he didn't understand that he was basically like self-fulfilling the prophecy in a different way by believing that he was the one directly involved with it. Okay? That is to say that like sometimes our self-belief can trick us into thinking that that we're fulfilling a prophecy. And that's what the first ones are, is kind of like, it's all kind of like follow the prophecy, follow the purpose, right? Even though the first ones aren't around anymore, we've never met them or any of those things, just follow the, we can't question them. It's like, it's very much like, well, this is inconvenient as fuck. Like, no one can really verify if this is the truth. No one has ever met the first ones as we believe them to exist. Like, what is it? Like, is it even real? Like, how do we know that it's not just a facade that's put there to make you believe that, like, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? So yeah, just keep that in mind as we move forward in terms of like, if the Titans came, and guys, what I've proposed is that the Titans are pretty good at erasing history and like rewriting history and making you believe things that might not necessarily be true. There's innumerable pieces of evidence that literally prove this. So the idea that the Titans came, used the Cosmic Forge and Zereth Mortis to craft new Eternal Ones that would be more bent to their will or the whims of order is not even remotely surprising. To then think that they may have used that overbearing order to imprison one of their own, Sargeras, or maybe even someone like Argus if we're talking about fractals. I'm talking about Zoval in this case, obviously, because he decided he was going to turn against them. Perhaps then what we're seeing is kind of this tendency towards order that is kind of overlooked, that we're not really recognizing, like, oh, fuck. Like, what if the first one's thing isn't real and it's a facade? It's like, and I'm thinking he's going to go to this, it's like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing, of like who's really the power? Is it the great and powerful first ones, or is it the man behind the mirror pretending to be the first ones? I think that's where he's going to take this. We'll see. But I really enjoy that concept because, like, yes, like that's what the Titans do. They're fucking liars and deceivers. They're very cunning, and they've done a good job to make us believe things that I don't necessarily think are true. And the first ones could be one of them. Think about this. Only the Prime Designate makes mention of the first ones, and even he is clearly not really aware of what the first ones are. Odin says the mortals couldn't possibly conceive of the wonders bestowed to the Titans by the Makers in Zareth Ordis. And it's like, I've said this before, but I kind of feel like Odin is projecting. I don't think Odin knows. I don't think Odin understands what happened there either. Right? So even Odin was lied to? Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't think that he really knows. He thinks he knows, but he doesn't know. Why the fuck would they tell? That guy has the loudest mouth. He's already exposed shit, if true, that they would not have wanted him to tell. So yeah. I think Odin was lied to.
Stuff, but why all the secrecy?
Because he's a Nazi, and Nazis are famous for their... Never mind.
Afraid of?
They're all in Argentina or whatever, wherever.
The Titans first ones as a shadow of distraction.
This is some heavy stuff, but why all the secrecy? What are they afraid of?
The Titans fear you, mortal.
Yep.
They fear that if you discovered the true nature of their intentions, it would spark rebellion and chaos.
Yep.
And so they mask their involvement in such things, maintaining the illusion of benevolent creators.
Yep.
Okay, but what about the
Agreed.
Eternals and the Jailer? How deep does this rabbit hole go?
Deep.
The depths are unfathomable, but perhaps the most startling revelation is...
Comically loud disturbance.
What the? That wasn't in rehearsal. I mean, hey, what's that noise?
You there! Check out that noise!
Pay no attention to the owl behind the curtain, folks. I can explain. This is just, who am I kidding? The
nice.
jig's up. And take a hike, Featherball. You're fired.
fired.
Okay, I know how this looks, but trust me, you had to hear it from the horse's mouth first. Folks, I may not truly have a Titan Watcher's head as concrete proof, but now it's time to review the evidence that does exist, both in-game and across the span of lore, that reveals how some of these seemingly outlandish claims might hold merit. Like the Tin Man himself, don your foil hats, and let's follow the yellow brick road all the way back to Shadowlands. First, though, what is an afterlife? What kind of functions do they usually serve?
Such a good question.
And what are common themes of them? The concept of an afterlife has fascinated humanity for millennia. From ancient mythologies to modern religious beliefs, the idea of a realm beyond death serves many functions. It offers hope, a comforting idea of the unknown, and provides structure. Many ancient traditions propose that powerful beings or deities control the afterlife, using it as a means to enforce moral codes and social order. Oftentimes, deities or demigods are portrayed as the gatekeepers or judges of the afterlife,
like Zoval.
determining the fate of souls based on their earthly deeds.
Yeah, the Arbiter.
In these narratives, the afterlife serves not just as a place of rest, reward, or punishment, but also as a tool for maintaining control over the living. This control can manifest through promises of paradise or threats of damnation, shaping behavior and belief systems among mortal civilizations. For further reading, I'll point you to the Gnostic understanding of the Archons. In World of Warcraft, Blizzard has approached their many afterlives with a blend of homage to humanity's existing ideas and beloved ideas rooted in the lore of the game's cultures. More akin to an engineered sorting machine than a natural mystical experience.
Map is literally cog-shaped. Yo, that's a really good point.
Beloved ideas rooted
Look at
in
this.
the lore of the game's cultures.
What's up, Taro?
More akin to an engineered
I didn't notice that before. That Ouroboros is literally shaped like a gear. Tough, bro. I didn't even fucking think about that.
sorting machine than a natural mystical experience. The Shadowlands is not so much a place of rest for the spirits of the dead, but a complex system where souls are judged, bound to new duties, and sometimes even damned to endless torment.
I'm also going to say this. I believe the Shadowlands is a type of planetoid structure. And I think the Emerald Dream is too. I think that that's why on the star maps that we have in the game, that there's a purple planet with rings around it, and there's a green planet with rings around it. I think, anyway, that those are representing the Shadowlands and the Dream the same way that they appear on the Chronicle cosmology chart. And so what I'm saying is that, yes, I think that they're in a different layer of reality, but I think that they're there, you know? Like they're hidden from sight, but that they're still orbiting Azeroth and bound to it in some way. And I think that it's almost like if they existed in like the Twisting Nether or something like that, or like on the rim of the Twisting Nether. And that it's like ephemeral, existing in a space that's very hard to access. And I think that how can you pull a new realm with chains from the fog if it's on a planet?
Hope stream has been
well, I can actually explain that. I believe it's because the planet is shattered. That's what I believe. It's because the Shadowlands is not one planetoid structure anymore, but it used to be. I think that it was shattered into a bunch of different fragments and pieces. Kind of like Outland. You know how Outland is just like floating in the nether because it was shattered with magic that like broke it apart and stuff? Think about that happening to the Shadowlands. Same concept. Some type of massive explosion, probably magical in nature, ruptured the fabric of the Shadowlands and split it apart. I do think that the Shadowlands land masses used to be parts of the same body. So yeah, broken and reordered, yes. But the Shadowlands were still a death realm, just invaded, destroyed, and repurposed. Yes. That's what I believe, anyway. Yeah. And there is a boss inside of Sanctum of Domination that actually has concept art. And his shtick is that he has a big telescope. And he looks out to the other realms and stuff and can spot them and pull them in. And what they were going to do, they didn't do this, it's just in his concept art, is they were going to have these models of worlds that he saw. And most of them, not most of them, a couple of them were shattered. And they were being held together by chains. And so I could probably show you guys this art real quick. From Observer Boss Room. And these are some of the planets that were removed. So this didn't make it into the game. And I think this is rather compelling, personally. People would say, okay, well, if the Shadowlands is broken, what broke it? Probably Sargeras. If I had to take a shot in the dark. If it was, then this could potentially explain why the world that Sargeras found was black and desiccated, and why from within it, he heard alleged to be Titanic nightmares or whatever. There were old gods apparently on this world, and there were also Nathrazim, which is convenient, considering that it was right before this thing happened that Sargeras was told by the Nathrezim that the Void Lords created the old gods so that they could corrupt a sleeping world soul. And then so Sargeras went mad and he cleaved this world in two. But here's the problem, is that Sargeras sure looks dominated. That's the problem. You know, he's wielding the Mournblade. And we saw Sargeras, right? Look at this. Sargeras is radiant and bright, right? So I do find it interesting that in the art, this is kind of opposite. The world is radiant and bright like Sargeras would be. And he is very darkened. And so, yeah, I think that, and then people would say, okay, well, if Sargeras was dominated, Pyro, who would do that? I mean, I think that's a fairly clear answer. I mean, if I had to take a guess, it's probably the Arcane Masters. Norganon, Amenthul. There's a reason Sargeras' eyes are blue and like they're dominated like Zoval.
Blizzard's inspiration for the Shadowlands draw from diverse sources. Whether it's the Elysian fields of the Greeks, as seen in Bastion, the Norse and Celtic themes of Odin's Halls of Valor or Ardenweld, and even Dante's Divine Comedy offer glimpses into the Shadowlands' varied realms, reflecting these influences while adding a unique Warcraft flavor and twist. By doing so, Blizzard created an Afterlife realm that feels both familiar and novel, allowing players to explore the depths of their favorite universe in a new light, and experience an ancient mystery of titanic proportion, all the while blinded to the true makers of the works around them. With that said, let's dive into a detailed scrutiny of the suggestions Watcher Unicrast made about the nature of the Shadowlands. Starting with the first ones. After nearly 20 years of hyping up the Titans, Blizzard very suddenly introduced us to the concept of the First Ones. Beings who supposedly not only created the Shadowlands, but as they put it, everything we've seen on Azeroth, and
which is the outer layer as well. The one probably most affected by the Titans. Let that sink in for a second here. That's crazy.
Realms we haven't discovered yet. As per Maria Hamilton, quote, "These first ones built the universe as far as we know, but their intentions or methods are completely unknown."
Yep.
We saw how the Makers, a title that was always reserved for the Titans since the days of Classic, was now attributed to the First Ones.
Yep.
And bar an item name here or there, the Titans were mysteriously all but redacted from this expansion. Throughout in-game literature and perspective-based books like Grimoire of the Shadowlands, the First Ones are generally referred to as the builders of a grand design, flawless and intricate. Many players have taken
Flawless and intricate, yeah. Sounds like the Titans to me.
all of this new lore to mean that the Titans are old news, with buzzwords such as
What effect would Zoval's machinations have then if the first ones are actually the Titans? It would mean that they were using Zoval as a means to essentially try to rewrite the universe. To do universal re-origination. That's what that means. And that their order magic was given to the Primus to weave into death magic to create domination in order to accomplish it. That's what that means.
Titan++ from game director Ian Hazacostas, seeming to indicate that we've outgrown the big lore players like Amantul and Sargeras on the power scale. But I'm calling their bluff.
I love this interpretation, by the way. This is the single most giga-brain interpretation of what Ian said. And Ian's fucking smart, let me tell you, dude. That guy's fucking very smart. I'm just gonna say it. This is a fucking huge brain fucking perspective.
Because I don't believe that Blizzard would so needlessly undermine their iconic
I agree.
original cosmic gods.
Oh,
the
I agree.
Titans.
Xaxxas, we have to collab, bro. We have to do something. We have to do something. I don't know if I've ever watched videos before that I fucking agreed with so hard, bro. I can't. These are some of the best lore videos I've ever fucking seen. Honestly, dude, this is so good. We're only 15 minutes in. Is this what it feels like for some people to like watch my videos where they're just like sitting there like, dude, this is sick. I really enjoy this. I love when these videos get recommended because they're really good, dude.
Or we
They're really
ever
good.
truly dealt with them. I mean, do you? How could the finale of the World Soul Saga, The Last Titan, poised to have us witness the return of the Titans to Azeroth, even be considered a proper threat
Right.
if such a claim were true?
That's a good point.
Wouldn't the bar for power have been set a little too high, a little too fast with Shadowlands?
Uh-huh.
If Eternals such as Denathrius, the Archon, and Zoval the Jailer were truly 2 times above the Titans as per suggested by Ian's Titan++ quote,
Well, I think he was specifically referring to the jailer. I could be wrong about that, but my interpretation is that he was specifically talking about Zoval. But I don't think it really matters. Anyway.
then why can mortals such as ourselves and Anduin kick their tin can rears so easily?
Because we have superior
I'm not
willpower.
buying it. And even better, I'm selling you
And because
something
they're
else
not
for
perfect
free,
creations.
The truth. Titan++ may not have been an indicator of power.
I think the truth is that you can't just design a perfect thing and like it's just perfect. I just don't think that's real. I think cosmic perfection comes from like growth and a desire to like, I think it's born out of like desires and things to do with mortals. I don't think the Titans can design a perfect being. I think that, again, perfection exists through turmoil, and that like mortals, some of the weakest beings considered in the cosmos are how you basically, like, we're as close to like a perfect being as you can get. We seem very flawed, but yeah, Azeroth, her being creator, is not perfect herself, so nothing can be. That's what some might. No, I don't. That's not. Some would interpret that the divinity itself can be perfect, but that they can create nothing as perfect as their own being. So that divinity's creations are all flawed, not that the divinity itself is imperfect. That's one interpretation, though.
But actually a clue into the scope of the story.
The design on his hood right now looks like the floor on the new cinematic for the Naru portion. Okay, don't take any... Okay, here's the one thing you have to be aware of. Xaxxas does a lot of visual storytelling and implication. This isn't real, okay? So yes, that looks similar, but this isn't a real image. This is an Organon with golden eyes and like a helmet. This isn't actually... So what he's doing is he's giving you a narrative. He's trying to... So just keep that in mind. And it's really cool, but you just have to realize that some of it is stuff that he's put together on purpose.
Story that Blizzard is telling. Introducing C++, the foundational programming language that the video game World of Warcraft is built upon. The true building blocks of Warcraft, heroically learned by some of the original developers at Blizzard.
This was my first project at Blizzard. It was a C++ project written completely in Azortech C++. Learned how to program in C++.
With their mastery of this coded language, these builders wove the world we love into being. A living simulation of a reality beyond the scope of our wildest imaginations. Every detail meticulously planned out like the workings of a clock, just so we, the players, can come in as the element of free will and make this simulation into a world of our own. That's right, folks. Titan++ equals C++. The coding language used by the Titans to shape the Shadowlands into being.
Yep.
Still not convinced?
I agree. And we have I can't wait, he's about to go into it. We have big theories about the reality that we're in being a part of a giant computer system and how different parts of it represent different parts of the computer. Different things like antivirus, like firewalls, like Trojan horses, things that exist at that kind of nerdy level. And so I think there's also stuff in the game, right? He's about to start talking about Norgabytes, which is digital memory. The Forge of Origination and how it works is also implies some things about flashing memory injecting code, things like that.
Riddle me this. How many norgabytes of memory magic did you store into the Primus to create your legendaries? Let's go further. Ouroboros and Zereth Mortis. Brass tacks, folks, what is the Shadowlands? A machine of death, built as a means to structure, you might even say order, the nature of death itself. Ouroboros plays the role of the most vital cog in this machinery, where an arbiter sits judgment over the universe's souls, sorting and binding them to their new life in death. You know, you'd think that something like death ultimately wouldn't be so clean-cut and organized, but instead, we see this near-computerized system of constructs and consoles, so reminiscent of the Titan's handiwork.
And not just that, bro. The fucking realm literally has the sands of time washing over it on one side and the growth of nature writhing over it on the other. It is blatant that the Titans went to Zereth Mortis. It is blatant that they were in there. Eonar is outwardly recognized in both WoW and Hearthstone as being aligned with the not just nature, but the aspect of growth. The fact that there is uncontrolled life growing across Zereth Mortis is such a fucking duh moment. It's mind-blowing. I love it, dude. Zereth Mortis is, I'm just gonna say it, I think Zereth Mortis might be one of the best zones of all time. Okay, and there I said it.
Zereth Mortis, referred to as a workshop and a place of experimentation,
I think
is
it's amazing.
home to what I think is one of the most biggest giveaways to the Titan's facade. The Forge of Afterlives. Aptly named for its purpose, this forge creates new afterlives and sends them into the Shadowlands, appearing as a giant sphere that is encased in ring-like bands, not unlike the Titan prison ring mechanisms on the Primal Incarnates, and speculated to be in the logo of the last Titan.
Yep.
In patch 9.2, Eternity's...
And you also get a toy that I have called Titan Containment Prison or some shit. Titan Containment Matrix. And when you use it, it literally puts you in a little stasis fucking ring, like a couple stasis rings that fucking rotate around you. And you're like, okay, here we are.
And we face the jailer in a space that is named the Heart of Eternity, accessed through a portal in the sepulchre of the First Ones. This finale ultimately revealed that Azeroth's world soul was at the heart of the inner workings of the
Let me see that again. What were you trying to suggest there?
Ones. This finale ultimately...
Okay, new theory. How crazy would it be if the planets were not orbiting the world, but were inside of it? And as we go deeper, we actually find layers to other skies and realms that we thought were separate worlds, but are actually inside of Azeroth, kind of like the elemental planes. That would be fucking crazy to find out that this world has worlds within it. Holy fuck, that'd be fucking crazy. Anyway, Sargeras is designed within Argus. Sargeras' design. I see what you did there. Yeah. Sargeras with the green and the chains and all. Yeah. Okay. I see what you've done. I see what you've done. And yes, and the implication of another Xerath. Yeah. I get that. But I think that there's another layer there. I like how it says Sargeras' design. I like that.
Revealed that Azeroth's world soul was at the heart of the inner workings of the Xerath construct. We had
Zeroth. Yeah, So Azeroth is Yggdrasil? Yeah. Kinda, yeah. And she's the thing that connects and feeds upon all the realms. I'd like to think that Azeroth and the Twisting Nether are in some way connected, and I guess I see the Twisting Nether more like the tree. Azeroth is maybe at the heart of the tree. Like the Elden Beast in like Elden Ring, like inside the tree. And then the tree is maybe like the twisting nether that connects to all the other realms or something like that. But I feel like the twisting nether has to connect with it somehow, because the twisting nether has all the cosmic powers and stuff inside of it, all the different primal powers, at least as far as I'm aware. And if that's the case, then I want to know how that's the, I don't know. Could be because light and void are bleeding together at its edge. I don't know.
Been exploring. And if you look closely at the megalithic stones used in Zereth Mortis and Oribos, one can make out flecks of gold and blue littered throughout the material.
My man.
Right from day one.
Yeah, there's even parts where you can see a little bit of white, which is important to note, because when you see Uther's soul split, it actually, it doesn't start as blue and gold. It starts as white. And then it splits into blue and gold. So together it should be like a white spirit. Just like Azurite. Yeah.
We can see this azurite-colored speckling in the stone that Oribos is built from. And I think that combined with the knowledge of Zereth Mortis and the Heart of Eternity sharing these links to Azeroth, that it's not too big a leap to think that Zereth Ordis was crafted in a similar way.
Hey, you guys know that guy Dread Expanse who makes really sick lore videos? You know, he has an old lore video where he speculates that Icecrown Citadel is actually part of Ulduar. It's pretty crazy that there are big forges at the bottom of Icecrown Citadel that connect it to Zereth Mortis. That's pretty wild. Very interesting.
Now let's quickly touch on the supposed Zereths. We know Zereth Mortis exists. And based on dialogue from the Moss-sworn Oracle Sazera, the crazed writings of the so-called enlightened broker, Farim, and the edicts of the Prime Designate Odin, many players speculate that there are indeed 5 other Zereth constructs. Those being Zereth Ordis, Vitae, Lumen, Umbra, and Tumult. At the Heart of Eternity, we do certainly see the beginnings of an activating cosmic forge with 6 distinct outputs. While I can't flat out deny the existence of the other 5, here's our thinking about why what we've heard about them could simply also just be a blueprint. Although lack of evidence is not proof for denying existence, it's worth mentioning that the Jailer's plan is ultimately not successful, and the World Soul of Azeroth empowers her champions before Zoval can fully activate any cosmic reforging. We're denied any confirmation of their existence, but I'll throw you these bones. Since Mortis does exist, and since we've already known for a long time that the Titans have had their hand in shaping the Emerald Dream, I'd bet Zereth Vitae does indeed also exist.
100%.
And while I'll save ideas of each Zereth's function for another video, one that I will highlight for important context is Zereth Ordis. The basic explanation of what Zereth Mortis does is that it orders the domain and magics of death. Now, is Mortis unique in this way, or are they all essentially ordering the domain they represent?
I think that that's probably what they're doing. I think that they're probably all instruments of order. And that the Titans, if they're the ones behind this, that they have intended to implement order through everything. And in this way, some of what we perceive as the void entities and bad things in the cosmos could actually have been shaped and or led to by the Titans in some way. There's even, anyway.
Which would then beg the question, what needs ordering in the domain of order? Just as my watcher friend detailed for us earlier, I would wager that Zereth Ordis was the first of these constructs, and was the beginning of a network and plan for all of the others. The solution being that there's no cosmic forge ordering the magics of Zereth Ordis, but its function plays its own role as the suggested probability matrix, like the Eye of Agamotto from Doctor Strange. But enough about Zereths, let's talk about the Eternals.
Having life and death, when you think about it this way, the Void tells Illyria that she should kill Sylvanas because Sylvanas seeks the death of all things, all possibilities. And so it seems like mortal life is what leads to possibility. So if you can order and understand or project the outcome of mortal lives, then you might be essentially like integrating order and predictability into something that otherwise shouldn't probably have it. So yeah, anyway, yeah. The Xeris were created by Azeroth, the Titans hijacked them to order all of reality. Well, that's the other option, is that it's like they're made by Azeroth and Argus or something like that. But I find this more compelling. I really do. I think that the Titans essentially creating what can be referred to as, you know, kind of the man behind the curtain. I don't know. I think that that's, or, you know, a face in front of the curtain while they're the ones behind it. I think it's just, I don't know. I think that's very fascinating.
The Eternals are the keepers of each main covenant in the Shadowlands.
And I used to posit and believe very heavily that the spreading of the void and its consumption of the universe was an unnatural occurrence that is the result of the Titans fucking around with things that they shouldn't be. And so that is to say that, like, you know, maybe the void wouldn't be hell-bent on blindly consuming everything if it wasn't being starved. Kind of like the Maw. If the Maw had been given the proper amount of souls, or had the stuff not been done away with or fucked up, then, you know, maybe there wouldn't have been the outcome that we had. You know, maybe it's the intervention that's causing the chaos.
In the Sepulchre of the First Ones, it is revealed to us that the Eternals are animated, spirit-bound constructs that were supposedly designed by the First Ones. And we can get hints from this mellow mushroom fella in Ardenweld, Marasmus, that there was a version of the Shadowlands that predated the arrival of the Eternals. So, under this theory, what are they? Let's start with Denathrius. You may already be asking, hey, if the Titans created the Shadowlands using Azeroth, that timeline doesn't add up with how Sargeras found and met Denathrazim, which we are now told
Not necessarily.
come from Revendreth and the eternal named Sire Denathrius. This is where some of our previous video suggestions come into play regarding the Twisting Nether. In Chronicle, we're told that the Nathrazim, also known as Dreadlords, were a cunning race that originated in the Twisting Nether, and we've heard of their planet, Nathraza. But then Shadowlands comes along and claims them as being sired by Denathrius, and that they are supposedly agents of death. This change seemed like a retcon, but I think it's a clever trick. Let's think about the Twisting Nether. It is described as an astral dimension, born alongside the physical universe and tangentially linked to it. It is a realm we have seen that is very often related to spirit and soul manipulation, with such examples as
Illidan?
shamans using astral recall, which yanks the caster through the Twisting Nether, warlocks like Gul'dan harvesting souls as a means to open the dark portal, demon souls returning to the Twisting Nether to begin with, and the Netherlight Crucible from Legion, using light and void fragments of Anaru, which we've seen can attract souls when in their decaying state. With these examples, I feel we can read between the lines and speculate that the Twisting Nether is the original realm of death.
Demons come from hell after all, don't they? And where do we find Argus? Inside of a planet that was allegedly once in the Twisting Nether. When you unmake something, what does it result in? Or when you crash two things together that seem antithetical. How did Sargeras get so much anima in his sword? I see what he's saying here. I mean, I've theorized myself that that Argus, the planet as we know it, could be a fragment of the former Shadowlands. Or something similar, because it has properties that I think could be very similar to a realm that we might come across in a place like the Shadowlands. And I think the mass demonic death that was occurring when we went there, I don't know. I like this idea a lot.
and that the Shadowlands and Emerald Dream are but ordered portions of the first astral dimension. And in viewing it this way, we can reconfirm that the Dreadlords are indeed from the Twisting Nether, just as Chronicles said, with this sly technicality being an opening for Blizzard to use the Nathrezim as they ought to be used best. Agents of disorder, not death.
It's true, and Tichondrius, Lord of the Dreadlords, he even, when you fight him inside Nighthold, he says, you want to face off against a true son of the Legion? And I'm like, wow, that's a really interesting thing for him to say if they're not. It's like, yeah, he seems pretty sold into this thing here. Tichondrius seems he's in it. Like, I don't know.
You really think that Renathal taking the word of Sire Denathrius as proof of the Nathrezim's origins is a good idea?
Yeah, Renathal's very much like, I'm going to compare him to Wuklamot in that he's very naive and doesn't really understand what's going on. And it's said, I want you guys to be very aware of something. Denathrius specifically did not want Renathal killed. At all. He did not want the Dreadlords to touch him. He says they were commanded that no harm would come to him whatsoever. So the reason why Denathrius is doing that is because he either needs Renathal for something, or he genuinely cares for him like his son, or both, potentially. But, the thing is that's why he gets so mad at Renathal and tells him, all you had to do was obey. All you needed to do was just obey. And you couldn't do it. And I want you to know that I'm very unhappy with you. And I'm not going to kill you, but I should, kind of thing. Like, Denathrius was very mad at him for what he did, for leading the rebellion. But at the end of the day, he didn't have him killed because reasons.
There's one being in the entire universe that I would not...
That would make sense why Draenei had that tiefling kind of look if Argus was part of Hell. I mean, what is Argus, the planet, when you think about it, and Antorus? To me, it kind of came off like Tartarus. And I could be wrong, but there is even Portal Keeper Hazabel drops an item called Taratus Keystone from that raid. And when you read it, it says, a prison world for errant demons. The sun of Tartarus was breathtaking to behold. The radiance of Tartarus' sun is breathtaking to behold. Something like that. So, like, I feel like the concept of Tartarus was something kind of aligned with Argus in the first place. I also want to point out that, like, this is kind of a Disney trope, but Argus is kind of like Hades. If you look at Argus, especially considering that his head is, like, seemingly on fire, he's a lot like Hades from Hercules, like the Disney one. Remember how, like, when Hades gets really pissed off, he turns fucking orange and red, and he gets, like, hella mad, and he fucking flames up? And then when he cools off, he turns blue again? I just think that that's, like, uncannily similar to the fact that Argus literally goes from blue to red in the fight, and that he spawns, like, radiant orange and golden, kind of more like Sargeras, and then turns blue. And so I think, yeah. I watched the new cinematic on the VOD. The sound design is so good, it really pumped me up. It's pretty damn good. So here we go.
Not trust, it's Denathrius. Even Renathal's wording only says that Denathrius, quote, revealed another creation, and not precisely that he created them. I think that instead of Denathrius creating the Nathrezim, that the Titans based the eternal Denathrius on the pre-existing Nathrezim of the Nether. Not just as a keeper of Revendreth, but as a dark mirror to the Titans' own sin. Think about it. Revendreth is a place where souls are purged of their darkness.
It's very
in the
Titan-like.
form of sin, jailed otherwise until completely drained by the vampiric humanoid race, the Venthyr.
It's like Norushen, trying to purge our pride.
Carve and animate stone-born servants to carry out the management and protection of Revendreth. Sounding familiar? Whether subconsciously or is carved in the form of sin, jailed otherwise until completely drained by the vampiric humanoid race, the Venthyr. These Venthyr harvesters carve and animate stone-born servants to carry out the management and protection of Revendreth. Sounding familiar? Whether subconsciously or as an admission to their own sin, the Titans may have shaped Revendreth as a twisted reflection of their own intentions and methods in ordering Azeroth's world soul.
I like this.
And despite being so very...
And I really feel that in many ways, Yasharaja will be used in this manner as well. It goes to show what the Titans deemed not good and what they tried to get rid of. And I think that conceptually trying to forcefully purge yourself of your pride is one of the most prideful things that can possibly happen. It's actually insane to think about doing that, because it's like there's nothing more prideful than just thinking you can do that. Like, it's not a good look. I have a whole video about the Titans and pride specifically, and how it is directly what plagues them. At least that's what I used to believe. I think the Titans each can represent different terrible things. I think hatred, greed, vanity, apathy, etc. You know, I think that each of the Titans can be pretty easily linked to that desire, betrayal, those types of things.
Absent in name, the fingerprints of the Titans are all over the other covenants too. Moving on to the other Eternals, we can highlight Bastion, the zone that is without a doubt easiest to attribute to the Titans in terms of style.
Yeah, bro, it looks like the Halls of Valor in many ways to me. Like, this is, if I had to pick a Titan that the Kyrian represent, it's Agramar. I love Amethyst, but only because I can name drop her to troll Pyro. Like this, Pyro Amethyst. Ban this guy.
In terms of style, and its Eternal, Curestia the Firstborn.
The Archon and Agramar have similar belts. I'm gonna fucking punch you in the fucking dick, dude. Are you shitting me right now? I'm gonna punch you right in the fucking cock. In a video game, of course. Are you shitting me? Yeah, that's pretty similar. It could just be nothing, but I think that's pretty similar.
This heavenly afterlife is primarily managed by the noble Kyrian. Blue-skinned, angel-like humanoids that play the role of psychopomps for the Shadow.
It was at this point that the Titan Watchers of Earth sent a protocol to the seat of the Pantheon, alerting them that Pyro and Xaxxas were getting far too close to the truth and re-originated Pyro's internet. But the truth will not be contained that easily. Can't stop the signal, you Titan motherfuckers.
Interesting choice here, because similar to the Kyrian, owls are also known in spiritual traditions to play the role of psychopomps, bringing souls into the afterlife. Many of Bastion's creatures are oddly feathered, like this stag with a beak that I can only presume is meant to be like an owl, based on the stewards. And original concept art for Bastion shows a massive owl temple at the end of a star-crossed pathway.
Is that an owl? To me, that looks like the fucking Primus's horns, bro. I can't be the only one that sees that, right? What? Or a dragon? Could be a dragon. It kind of looks like maybe a draconid face.
Stars and night sky motifs are more common in multiple concept artworks for Bastion. And you know where else we see owls and stars together? But on to Maldraxxus.
Yeah. That's kind of why I want to do the Nighthold raid.
Motifs are more
Lore
common
tour.
in multiple concept artworks for Bastion.
It's
and
a good
you know
one.
Where else we see owls and stars together?
Augury was a Greco-Roman religion practice of observing the behavior of birds to receive omens.
Together. But on to Maldraxxus. This realm serves as the defensive and sometimes offensive armies that protect the Shadowlands. Undead constructs of flesh and bone battle each other in the theater of pain as a means to harden their resolve, rebuilding their corpsely forms from scrapyards of leftover remains. The Primus rules as the Eternal over Maldraxxus, and he's known to be a master strategist who never loses a battle.
And it's said that in the lore books, even when he loses, it's because he's setting up some kind of win on the other side. So that, like, when this guy got captured, he went missing. People are like, oh, Zoval got him. No, dude, he fucking willingly got captured. He shed his memories. He He left a breadcrumb trail. He hid his sigil in Korthia. He fucking did it on purpose.
Supposedly having gained knowledge from an ally in the Time Ways. So, if the Nathrius is based on the Nathrazine, what are the Primus and Maldraxxus based upon then? I think that the Titans built this army as an homage to their greatest champion.
I'm gonna fucking... Okay. I'm gonna fucking... Hold on.
Based on the Nathrazine, what are the Primus and Maldraxxus based upon then? I think that the Titans built this army as an homage to their greatest champion, Sargeras, and the indiscriminate justice he dispensed upon the demonic armies of the Nether. In Chronicle, we learn that Sargeras jailed the souls of demons in a prison forged with his still limited understanding of the twisting Nether, and I think that he did so using domination magic. Sargeras' sword, some might say looks like a Titan-flavored Mournblade, could have played the role of capturing the souls of the demons he slew. And Sargeras himself was a user of domination long before the existence of the Primus. And finally...
Maybe. Probably not what we would call domination, but what we probably should call domination, regardless of whether or not it's death magic or order magic. But I think it's implied through the memories of the Primus. It says that Frostmourne was his finest Mournblade, but it doesn't suggest that it's his first. So I feel that pretty well left open the possibility for Sargeras' sword to have been maybe one of the ones that came before, and maybe it was an imperfect creation. How about this? What if you forged the sword out of the wrong material, and the vessel became corrupted by what you put into it? What if Frostmourne is like a blade that doesn't corrupt, right? If you absorbed the wrong kind of soul into the sword, perhaps it would change the sword itself, right? So maybe the sword looks different now, but it could still be the same sword. How the Ashbringer got corrupted when it was misused? Yeah, essentially, yes.
Of the demons he slew. And Sargeras himself was a user of domination long before the existence of the Primus.
Fel magic does have some interesting properties. I mean, Garona was mind-controlled using Fel magic in the Orb of Dominion. So that's pretty darn similar.
And finally, we have the Winter Queen and Ardenweld. But this one's easier than the rest. Since we know already that the Titans shaped the Emerald Dream,
yeah, it's not even speculation.
Surely its counterpart in the cycle, Ardenweld, would have been shaped by the Titans as well. And what is the Winter Queen based on? Well, given how she thinks of Elune as her sister, and how Ardenweld is a zone of eternal night with stars crisscrossing the sky, I'd say it's about a decent guess that Elune and her life-tending aspects are being reflected here, though just as ordered as...
So what did that item say? The myths surrounding Elune, one of the few true deities of Azeroth, suggest her true identity might not yet have been fully understood. Yeah, I forgot about this legendary. This is one of the best quotes on any legendary. The myths surrounding Elune, one of the few true deities of Azeroth. The RPG lore said that Elune was the only true deity of Azeroth, but I don't think that's true anymore. I think that it's probably Elune. I think that Anshe is one of them too. One of the few true deities of Azeroth, suggest her true identity might not have been fully understood. It's interesting because there is also a dwarf in the RPG lore, Durgan One God, who believes that Eonar is the only goddess. She's like the only one, the single soul one, which I think is interesting considering that the same RPG lore says that Elune is the one true goddess. And that, I'm just telling you guys, I think that there's an immensely fucking high chance that Eonar is Elune. And she's been ordered. That's kind of what I think. I think that there's a good chance that, like it's suggested in the Emerald Dream, that life was ordered, and that Eonar, as we know her, probably is Elune. But I can't prove that.
Though just as ordered as they are in the dream. But how and why did the Titans create the Eternals? I think that much like the second generation of Titanforged, given sentience by the life essence of Azeroth through the Forge of Wills, the Eternals of the Shadowlands had their cosmic spirits crafted in a very similar way. Or perhaps they were beings that existed in the Nether before the Titans' ordering of the Shadowlands. And after being slain, their spirits were encased and reformed in robotic constructs we saw in patch 9.2. Now,
Imprisoned. Yeah, imprisoned into body prisons, man. It's fucking scary. I mean, it kind of makes me like a little afraid that if Azeroth awakens in the body that she's in, that if that's how that works, that she will be controlled, you know? If they order the world enough, the vessel enough, then maybe when she rises, they can have control of her. You know, Zoval, his very body was turned into a prison, you know? Makes me wonder about Sargeras, too. If Eonar is Elune, you think it's okay for her to be giving power to Tyrande? I don't really know how. It depends on how you define what okay means. Like what you're implying with that. Dominated Sargeras collected them from other worlds in the Nether on behalf of his master at the time. Could have been. We do see those prison orbs in Zereth Mortis hosting the souls of the Eternal Ones.
Eternals are referred to as the Pantheon of Death across interviews with Blizzard and in-game.
Yeah, they're called Pantheon of Death. That's pretty hilarious that they even went with the same name. Maybe they were trying to be overt with that, and we were just like, didn't get it. If you're going to call it the Pantheon of Death. And then everyone's like, oh, there must be a Pantheon for every cosmic force. And I'm like, oh, Christ. Which there could be. If the Titans went around and ordered them all, there sure as shit, there could be.
Many players and this broker who penned Grimoire of the Shadowlands have begun to speculate that there must be pantheons for every cosmic force, reducing characters like Elune and the Titans to being nothing more than constructs crafted by the first ones. But I disagree. I propose the simple answer is that the Pantheon of Death was forged by the original Pantheon of Order.
Yep.
A reflection of the Titans' ruling elite. When we defeated Zoval and began to see him wither into a lifeless automaton, it was like the curtain peeling back all the way on the magnetar in the room that is the truth behind the first one's facade. For ample comparison to this story, take a look at how Marvel Studios recently told the story of the Timekeepers and the Time Variance Authority in their recent hit show, Loki. After unraveling a mystery at the TVA all about the mysterious and all-ruling Timekeepers, Loki finds that they were in fact animatronic robots upholding a grand illusion to distract from the true Puppet Master. I think that the first ones and the Eternals play the same role in the story of Shadowlands, masking the Titans' involvement in the realms of death.
Come on.
But we're not so easily
Everything's inspired by something.
fooled, for there's a far older tale that Marvel and Blizzard likely drew inspiration from: The Wizard of Oz.
There you go.
In this timeless tale from 1943, we see the adventures of Dorothy and her dog Toto as she swept into a wondrous dreamscape called the Land of Oz.
On that note, Argus the Unmaker's basically Galactus. You know that, right? Motherfucker is the end of all things. He's got to, like, devour worlds to exist more than likely, okay? So let's just, like, get that clear. That, like, Argus almost looks like, just like Galactus, too. So...
There, she begins a journey to the Emerald City to find a famed wizard named Oz, the Great and Powerful. And along the way, she encounters several key allies. First, the Scarecrow, who points the direction of the forked roads for any passerby and wishes he had a brain. I don't think it's a straw man argument to say that this is reminiscent of the Arbiter in the state that we find her. Then there's the Tin Man, who Dorothy frees from his rusted state, in which he had been stuck for a very, very long time. And who could forget the Cowardly Lion, whose quest for courage drives us an inspiring tale to never fear your enemies even when it's darkest. Their journey is paralyzed by the Wicked Witch of the West, who comes and goes from her evil tower, antagonizing the crew and capturing the hero. When this crew at last arrives at the Emerald...
You guys shouldn't be mind blown. You shouldn't be mind blown. This is literally what I'm always trying to tell you. You think that media is not connected. It is. It is. It doesn't matter how much you try to deny it. All of it is. Music, movies, TV shows, anime, you name it. Comic books. It's literally all connected. So I get that this probably seems like surprising to some of you, but this is what I'm always trying to get you to understand. There's a reason why Machop is constantly referencing Bionicle. There's a reason why some people are constantly referencing Marvel. Now, there's a reason why some people are constantly referencing Tolkien or fucking, you name it. You name it. Archetypes are a thing. Retelling of stories is a thing, right? I just think that, like, you got to remember that, like, what some people perceive as meaningless connections between things. Oh, Pyro, oh, it's very cute that you think they're connected. And oh, it's like, bro, they literally fucking are. They actually are. So this is a great example of it. This isn't so blatantly similar that it's an accident. You know?
Who comes and goes from her evil tower, antagonizing the crew and capturing
It's awesome.
the hero.
This is great.
When this crew at last arrives at the Emerald City, they are greeted by an enigmatic doorkeeper at the gates of a vast, technologically impressive city. Everyone in the city claims that nobody has ever seen the great and powerful Oz. Inside,
Just like the first ones.
Dorothy and her friends are met by an imposing, flame-bursting spectacle and booming voice that looks down upon them as inferior, ungrateful creatures. Ultimately,
Thanks,
after a
Kavitek.
fetch quest for the Great Oz, the climactic reveal of the imaginative story is ushered by Toto as the little dog pulls back the curtain on a simple trickster of a man, working a machine that operates the grand illusion of Oz the Great and Powerful. The humbug's masterful disguise is exposed and the jig is up. At the end of the day, we discover it was all a dream, and Dorothy learns a key lesson, that there's no place like home. A lesson that the
Ruby
Good Witch
slippers.
adamantly affirms and reaffirms that could not have been simply told to Dorothy, saying, quote, she wouldn't have believed me, she had to see it for herself.
That's a nice little crossover as well with the Matrix quote. No one can tell you what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
And this reminds me of an in-game item.
Oh,
that
there
you
it is! My motherfucking man! There it is, dude.
familiar with from Dragonflight, the Titan Training Matrix, which has the following yellow text. Quote, unfortunately, nobody can be told what the Titan Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, this item and quote directly reference the iconic 2000s film which was already referencing The Wizard of Oz, The Matrix. A masterclass story that also parallels the narrative being told in Shadowlands. We can see the Titans and their first one creations as the true makers of the Titan Soul Matrix, harvesting anima from mortal souls to power their great afterlife illusion, the Shadowlands. Think about it. In the movie, the Matrix is a digital simulation created to keep humans docile, while their bodies are used as energy sources, dreaming of a false reality. Similarly, the Shadowlands, as we discovered, is a highly organized and mechanized afterlife system designed to control and repurpose souls. A facade maintained by the Titans to keep mortals in the dark about their true intentions.
This video's so good, dude.
And the architect behind it all, Norgan Oz,
Yep.
the Dreamweaver.
There he is.
The Titans' master wizard and keeper of celestial magics.
Yep.
Norganon's empowered keeper Mimiron, who is known as the creator of the gnomes and goblins, was the mastermind architect behind all of Azeroth's engineered titanic devices and forges, even naming a unit of storage space in his Titan father's name, the Norgabyte. Some of the only mentions of the Titans by name in Shadowlands appears as legendary powers in the form of memories we restore to the Runecarver, aka the Primus. The memory of Norganon, the memory of Aeonar, and the memory of the Dark Titan. We're gonna need a bigger disc.
By the way, and he might bring this up, the Argus in Chronicle Volume 4 is actually called a Dark Titan. They don't just say a Titan, they say Dark Titan. They're using that term now. They used it in Chronicle. So there is a possibility that the memory of the Dark Titan is not of Sargeras, but of Argus, but I can't prove that. I want you guys to remember as well, that it says in Chronicle Volume 1 that the Dreadlords told Sargeras that the Void Lords were going to use old gods to corrupt the sleeping world so that would give rise to an unspeakably dark creature. One that would potentially have the power to bring everything under the will of the Void Lords, every mode of existence under the Void Lord's will. But an unspeakably dark creature with the power to end everything. End everything? Oh, you mean the guy whose signature ability is the end of all things? Okay.
For all of these Norkabites.
The icon's resto and has blue and gold. I know, bro. That's what throws me off. Every time I see the blue and gold, I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up, dude.
And in Zereth Mortis, our players encounter an enigmatic runic language, the ciphers of the First Ones. And we know that cipher is synonymous with code. When we look at it through this lens, the Shadowlands, Oribos, and Zereth Mortis, in all their mechanical wonder, were the very clues we needed to suggest that something unnatural and inorganic has completely ordered the nature of death.
And they didn't do a good enough job for most people to even remotely realize that possibility. And so it got completely flubbed, and that's probably why people like Denuzer got fired. Because if this is what they were trying to do, they did not get it across for like the average player, even remotely, which maybe isn't their intention. Maybe they don't want you to know quite yet. Maybe, you know, people, think about it. The people like Xaxxas, people like me who are trying to be on the cutting edge of like speculation, like, I feel like it's more for us, you know? It took so long. It seemed like such bad writing. What happened with Sylvanas completely overshadowed it. That the Shadowlands and its what it is as a mechanism, I think, was really lost. And again, the mechanized nature of it, I think, from the very first cinematic was implying exactly what Xaxxas is saying here. I think that this might be one of the best speculation videos of all time.
And this machine,
and not just because I agree, because it's very, very well put together. Xaxxas has done something here that I'm not very good at. I'm not very good at like sticking it all together, like while being able to stay on track. I ramble and I get so passionate about certain parts of it. And this is really good.
This place is nothing more than shadows on a wall.
The Shadowlands.
In Plato's allegory of the cave,
I can't.
Prisoners are
You're
chained.
gonna use the allegory of the cave, bro. I saw it in the table of contents, but I forgot about it until now. This is amazing. This is like one of the best allegories. I'm pretty sure that this is actually even depicted on a wall in Dragonflight, which is, oh, dude, it's so good. This is so good. This is about context. It's about context and it's about perception. This is such a fucking good thing to use here.
Inside of a cave, facing a wall where shadows are cast by objects passing in front of a fire behind them. These shadows on the wall are reality to the prisoners, as they have never seen the objects causing the silhouette. If one prisoner were freed and forced to see the fire and objects, they would realize that the shadows were mere illusions, and may even return to facing the wall, preferring the comfort of what they had known. In this allegory, the Shadowlands, as they are so aptly named, are but shadows on the wall. The puppeted silhouettes of the Eternals, cast by the hands of the true puppeteers, the Titans. We, the players, are the brave heroes who dare to see what casts the shadows, storming into Zereth Mortis and peeling back the curtain on their grand illusion. Even characters like Prime Designate Odin, who speaks with the authority of the Titans, was not granted the authority to see the Shadowlands without giving an eye to Mazala, seemingly kept in the dark about the whole story.
Yep. I totally agree.
Plato's work emphasizes the layered struggle to break free from the ignorance and oppression that keep us from discovering genuine truth. Just as a prisoner in the allegory might be freed and exposed to the real world outside of the cave, characters in Warcraft lore, such as ourselves and the jailer, may undergo a process of awakening.
And a nice quote that I heard recently was that people are much more likely to believe in a beautiful lie than an ugly truth. They're more to be drawn towards the ignorant bliss than to face the reality. if it makes them feel better.
Beginning to realize the true nature of their reality and the cosmic fate-shaping machinations installed by the Titans. Let's wrap this episode up and recap with the big question, why bother? Saying it like it is, Shadowlands did not resonate with the vocal players of WoW's community.
Well
with
said.
Blizzard themselves recently admitting at a developer conference that the expansion's Afterlife setting was not accessible to players. Even worse, the general understanding of the Xerath and Pantheon lore that spawned from Shadowlands has left the Warcraft universe looking sterile and robotic.
That's the biggest problem, is now everyone believes that there's 6 pantheons with 6 constructs and they're all robots and that it doesn't mean anything. And it's like, holy fuck, what have we done? What have we done? That's not what this game is. That's not what this game's universe is. I guarantee you that's not what it is. It's postulated, it's speculation, it's not proven. And honestly, maybe they should have just fucking made the architecture in the Shadowlands Titanic. Maybe they should just make it fucking Titanic. That's probably what they should just get the point across. But I guess they were probably trying to like hold out for a little bit for the World Soul Saga or whatever. But it's like, I just think that they went a little obscure with the first one's thing. I really think Chronicle Volume 4 makes it pretty clear that what the first ones are told to be is not fucking true. And when I read this shit to you guys, it's basically fucking spelled out in this book that like I know, Xaxxas, I know. Zereth Mortis is easily the most Titanic looking zone, but people like there's people that when I compare the seat of the Pantheon to the Sepulchre, the first ones, they can't see the similarities. So, you know what I'm saying? When I'm doing a fucking British accent, there's people that comment in the stream that I sound like Cockney or something, or that I sound like Velen. I'm like, it's insane. Like, I don't know how people interpret information. It blows my mind. So anyway, it's like, whether it's architecture or whether it's a voice, like, I don't know. People's interpretations sometimes are just very far from reality. But I think Denuser wanted to tell the story over a longer period after Shadowlands, and Blizzard realized they needed to bring the story to fruition with Metzen's help, perhaps. To be honest, Zereth Mortis also seems different architectural style than the usual Titan stuff. What is the usual Titan stuff? Can you define that for me? Because I remember about 4 different stylized facilities that are all allegedly Titan that don't all look the same. Right, so for instance, Antorus the Burning Throne, Titan facility, looks different than the other Titan structures in many ways, but holds similarities to things like Uldir, right? Uldir, much different architectural style, something much more similar to like the Trolls, ancient Aztec stuff, I would say. I think more thematic to the area, right? Forge of Origination, not something I believe that the Titans truly built, but, alleged to be theirs, right? Again, looks different. Ulduar, very different looking, right? Go to like, so what I'm saying is that like the Titans, the most recognizable Titan architecture that people say is the Greek pillars, that kind of stuff, which I think is probably relatively accurate at its base form. That's probably what they would make about everything look like if they needed to. But I don't think that they choose to do that. I think they are probably trying to incorporate and assimilate other aspects to disguise their architecture, or in some capacities even stealing pre-existing architecture and then claiming that it did belong to them. So once again, like same concept, new coat of paint, And so it comes down to like determining through other factors which facilities would be stolen or whatever that might be. And I don't think that it's very hard to determine that when you start looking at some of the intricacies of each individual facility, but that's a different discussion entirely. What Xaxxas is saying, and this really can't be argued, is that out of any zone in Shadowlands, this one irrefutably looks the most Titanic. And honestly, like, again, the mechanized, like, from a D&D standpoint, the Titans represent the mechanical, orderly shit. You know what I'm saying? And so anytime that you're seeing mechanized, orderly shit, you need to consider Titan influence, Titan manipulation potential, lawful neutral stuff, right? Cogs and shit like that.
With the seeming handwave of the first one superseding the entirety of the Warcraft setting, suddenly the magic was diminished, as if we now knew that everything was just a Xerath construct waiting to be deactivated. including Elune, the Titans, and the Naru. And honestly, it's been heartbreaking to see, because we all know how mystical and inspiring Warcraft can be. This theory aims to connect existing dots, speculate
this is
on
such a
few
good
new
video.
ones, and weave together a
Super
narrative
good
that
video, dude.
hopefully restores a sense of wonder and awe to the WoW cosmos by returning the Titans to the status quo of cosmic orderers and leaving the rest unsaid. The disappearance of the Titans from the narrative during Shadowlands is highly suspicious, as if Blizzard
Love
is
the content.
deliberately drawing
Are
our
you still
attention
gonna
away
live
from them
stream on
and
YouTube?
encouraging us to focus on the mysterious first ones instead. This redirection feels too orchestrated to have been a coincidence.
Some of us bid on
suggesting
it.
a deeper, hidden truth waiting to be uncovered. With this perspective, no longer is the vastness of the universe a tamed structure made by some brand new super titans called the First Ones, but it is once again an unknown, wondrous expanse that we can all venture into with wide-eyed curiosity. As we approach the last Titan, the stakes should be higher than ever before. And in our return to Northrend, I anticipate we will indeed
I see
uncover
Argus
a
hiding in the
vast
background there.
conspiracy, one that stretches throughout the history of the world, and one that will make us
see
question
Argus?
everything we think we know about the Titans, their intentions, and the true nature of Azeroth itself. Folks, there's no need to retcon the Shadowlands lore.
True.
We just have to see it for the illusion it is.
Yeah, just like Chronicle, but people can't comprehend it. Because subtext is hard, and because you have to actually put the work in to understand what you're trying to talk about. And because people don't know what it means to actually grind to study something and to really understand it, they say that it's not possible because they don't think it's possible because their brain never comprehended it in the first place. And I think that's a terrible shame. To try to tell other people that what they're postulating and speculating and figuring out isn't real because you simply don't believe it is the most ignorant fucking shit in the world. I think this is such a good video. Not all prisoners want to be free from the cave. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Not everyone wants to see it for the truth of what it is.
Thank you for your time and patience today, heroes.
Well said.
If there's one thing that the ruling global elite hates, it's a sharp mind like yours. I hope you enjoyed this mind-boggling episode of Knowledge Wars, where the truth isn't just out there, it's buried under layers of esoteric symbolism and Titan plus machinery.
Yeah.
Remember, folks, you are the resistance to the Titan soul matrix.
What did that just say? That say brought to you by the Nathrazine?
Symbolism and Titan plus machinery. Remember, folks, you are the resistance to the Titan soul matrix.
Propaganda brought to you by the Nerubian Neural Network, who are definitely not the first ones. Covering all bases, bro. Yeah, good video, dude. Good video. I like that a lot.